What's up, wrestling fans? It's been a while, but we're back with the Wrestle Report, episode 41 with Phil and Don. I am Phil.
And I'm Don.
It's been about a month since we last spoke. The last time we did speak, we were talking about the Royal Rumble and how much I enjoy the Royal Rumble, and it would take a lot for WWE to ruin that event for me, and they just said bet, and they had Brock Lesnar kind of ruin the Rumble for me and just about everybody. They parlayed that into ruining the Elimination Chamber, both by having him kind of just smash the competition, and two, by putting it in Saudi Arabia. So that was kind of a double whammy of that. We'll talk about where we are with WrestleMania season rolling around. We also have AEW Revolution this weekend, which I will be at. I'm very excited for that. And then, of course, the biggest news in wrestling right now, what the hell is going on with Cody Rhodes? And that's probably a great place to start. Don, are you ready for all this, man?
Hey, man. We got a lot of news. Let's do it.
Yeah. You just got to dive right in, I guess. And Cody does seem like a good place to start. And the one positive to of not having an episode when this whole Cody saga started, there was a lot of speculation about where's he going to go? Why did he leave AEW? And a lot of those answers aren't really clear. For a while, it seemed like it was money related. Now stories are coming out that it's not really a money thing. It was more of a not having a lot of hands-on behind the scenes. It could be a matter of those things. And then there was also a point where we've been on Cody watch, I'd say, for the past week and a half. Like, I watched Saudi Arabia to see if he was going to show up there. I watched Raw and SmackDown last week, and we're recording this at like 7:30, so it'll bleed into Raw. We'll be on Cody watch when Raw starts, too. But now that it's been a few weeks, it's kind of gone silent. A lot of the WWE reports have switched from when Cody comes in to if Cody comes in. So I don't know if they have fumbled that negotiation, too. But I mean, I don't know where all this is going. It's both the most interesting and most frustrating thing going on in wrestling right now.
Oh yeah, man. I just want him to hurry up and come, or like him just sign and then we wait until he shows up. I have a feeling that they're gonna hold off until probably after WrestleMania, probably that first Raw after WrestleMania, which is fine. But I would love to have Seth Rollins versus Cody at WrestleMania this year. That'll be a good match, especially since they don't really have much going on with them right now, other than they could possibly win the Raw tag team titles with Kevin Owens and do something there. But let's do it. Let's just have it. And I love the little references they doing, like last week Miz called Logan Paul dashing,
right,
and everyone's like, oh, Ashing Cody Rhodes, just a lot of just little subtle hints.
Yeah, they used the word adrenaline in a tweet. They were talking about, I think, smoke and mirrors came up with Edge or whatever. And that's like, WWE doesn't work that way usually. AEW is the kind of company that drops breadcrumbs, let's lead you the way. WWE doesn't do that a whole lot. So it's almost like, I don't know if that's more reassuring or less reassuring that he's going to come there. Like, it could be, maybe he's not coming and they just want the extra attention. Like, that's almost as logical as him already signed, it could be either or. And I agree that, a post WrestleMania Raw Cody Rhodes appearing would make a great post, WrestleMania Raw moment. But at the same time, you have to sell 200,000 tickets to WrestleMania because you wanted to do 2 nights at Jerry World. And like, I don't know, I try to really put into perspective what I think Cody's star power is. He might be one of my favorite wrestlers. Not everybody's going to see him that way. I'm not saying he instantly, sells out Jerry World twice, but it doesn't hurt. So I don't know if they can have that tool in their tool bag and not want to pull it out for WrestleMania, especially with tickets not selling. They've sold about 100,000 over the 2 days. So that's where they were about a week ago. I'm sure they've sold a few more since then, but like, having trouble selling WrestleMania tickets has never been something they've had to deal with. So if they have to pull out all the stops, I think we'd see Cody. Honestly, if we don't see him by tonight or SmackDown this week, I don't see how we can shoehorn him into WrestleMania.
Well, there is also like an event coming up, I think, this weekend, the 5th of March, at Madison Square Garden.
Oh, that's right.
He might show up there. He could show up there as well. But there's been a lot of teases, even from Cody Rhodes, at that too. Like I saw the video of Cody Rhodes getting a package.
Oh, I didn't see that.
It was a Stardust. It was a Stardust.
Okay, that was That was old though. That's from an old BT
Old?
thing. Yeah.
Oh, damn, got my ass.
Yeah. No, I mean, because I remember that's back when I used to watch BT all the time, and yeah, that was when I was right before AEW started, and I forget what they called it, but they had to do like the exorcism of Cody Rhodes because he was like flashing back into like WWE version of himself, and they had to do. There's a BT episode called The Exorcism of Cody Rhodes, and you should go back and watch that one. That was like because right before AEW started, there was a chance that they were all going to sign with WWE. Like they had offers and stuff, and there's a version of this world where like they do all just go there, and it was like everybody else kind of not wanting to, and Cody, in this storyline, like getting drawn back in because he had been there before. So yes, I know what you're talking about. It's that with the piece of paper that said like hope it still fits H, right? That one, yeah. And they did a lot of funny shit back then for sure. But that one is old, unfortunately. But yeah, that would be a little too on the button. There'd be no debate if he was coming back if that was from this week or whatever.
Oh yeah,
but
man,
it's crazy because we live in a world where like we have a rumor that Stone Cold Steve Austin is going to come out of retirement for WrestleMania. And we'll talk about that more in the coming weeks, but the fact that that's not the biggest story right now shows you how captivating, if nothing else, Cody Rhodes is. Some people like to say he's not that big of a star and he's overblown or whatever. He's kind of beating Stone Cold at the headlines right now. And they're both equally speculative because this Austin thing might not happen. Like it could easily not happen. So, he's literally beating him to the headlines right now. That shows how important Cody Rhodes is to wrestling right now, I'd say.
Yeah, and also like I think the main thing is like because we never had this before. We never had like a big star from AEW going to WWE. We always had the big stars that are WWE going to AEW.
Right.
So it's like I think that's what the big thing is. That's why everyone's freaking out. And it's also like it shows you like maybe WWE is not doing much, but probably the locker room because a lot of people resigned. Think about that. AJ Styles resigned and Kevin Owens resigned and Sami Zayn resigned.
Mm-hmm.
You got to think that WWE is doing something that in the back that are making people happy to sign.
I think it's the paycheck more than anything, and I don't mean that WWE is like a terrible place all across the board, but like I think for some of these guys, like someone like AJ, this is probably the last full-time contract he signs in his career. That might be the case for Kevin Owens. That might be the case for Sami Zayn. They're a little younger than AJ. So who knows? But so I think the money is the big deal there. But like you said, we have not seen an AEW person jump to WWE. And this is the AEW guy. I don't know about you, but when AEW pops in my head, Cody is the first person I think of. And probably still will be, even if he does show up on the other show. That's just the way it is in my head.
And what's also crazy that he's the EVP, bro.
Yeah.
He like that shit is crazy to me.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, if he doesn't show up by the end of this week, I'm turning off Cody Watch for a while. But we'll see. But before we get to WrestleMania,
but 1 second, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What happens if he shows up tomorrow in NXT?
I mean,
that would be fucking wild.
We were gonna get to this later, but Don's going to NXT tomorrow. So hey, man, if he shows up, get some good footage of that or something. It's funny. I was talking with Billy earlier, and I guess he's going to take a vacation up in Georgia here next week or something. And he said, "Oh, WWE's doing a live event in Georgia while we're there, but I don't know if I'm going to go or not." I'm like, "You never know. Cody could show up at a house show in his home state of Georgia just for the hell of it. You never know, man."
Oh man, that would be headlines. But that would be also stupid on WWE's part.
Oh, of course, yeah. I mean, like it'd be awesome if he showed up on NXT, but that would also be a little bit of a wasted debut. I'm not saying never go to NXT, but that's probably not where he should debut.
I was saying for NXT because like, just because the Dusty Classic's going on and
which just ended, right?
The women's is going on now.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Hell, his dad was a coach at NXT, and
oh yeah, I would like imagine if he like debuts on Raw or SmackDown, and then a week later pops up on NXT just to prove that he can do whatever the hell he wants now that he's there. That I would like. just showing up on all the
that
shows.
would be dope.
Like you can't
That would be dope.
stop me. I get paid too much to not be on all these shows. That's the way I would do it. But this weekend is AEW Revolution. Like I said, I will be there. Very excited about that. Let's just run through. There's 9 matches already. We do have Dynamite this week. I don't see them adding more matches than that. So I think the matches are set here. So we'll
they might just add one more to make it even
10. I mean, it's possible, but if that's the case, all the title matches are already announced. It'll be something kind of thrown together, I guess. So let's run through these, fairly quickly and just give our thoughts on it. We'll start with an easy one here. Jade Cargill is defending the TBS Championship against Ty Conti. This should be fun, but I have no reason to think that Cargill's going to lose the title already.
Oh yeah, nah. Next. Oh, yeah, that was an easy one.
Yeah, that's an easy one. This one could be easy, but I could see it going either way. This is like the match that I get why it's here, but I'm a little confused that it's here. We have the AHFO, the Andrade Hardy family office. Say that 5 times fast. You got Andrade, Idolo, Matt Hardy, and Isaiah Cassidy against Sammy Guevara, Sting, and Darby Allin. Now, to answer my own question, why is this match there? So Sting can be on the pay-per-view. I understand that. But they just had a really good match on Rampage with Sammy and Andrade for the TNT title. That was really cool. And I feel like they did these in the wrong order. They should have had this 6-man on the go-home show of Rampage and then give us a killer TNT title match on the pay-per-view. That being said, Sammy did defend the title against Andrade. He did win. And I feel like, the heels can't be complete schmucks. So I feel like the heels find a way to win this. And obviously they're not going to pin Sting, but maybe give Sting his first AEW loss this way. Could be pretty crazy.
I can see that happening, but I still think that they're going to build Sammy to win, to win this match too. Probably pin one of the Private Party. Yeah.
So it's Andrade, it's Matt and Cassidy, and Mark Quinn will be there, but he's not in the match. So a lot of people are saying Cassidy's in this just to take the pin. And you're right. That's probably is what would happen. But I don't know, you get a quick one on Sammy from the heels cheat. I think it could be a great way to. I mean, we've seen how they finally beat Punk, right? Like they did it in a way that made sense. Obviously Sting won't be the one taking the pin, but I think it would be interesting if this is how he gets his first loss. But I could easily see it going either way. So maybe I'm overthinking it, but I could see it going either way.
I could also see the only reason why this match is going on at a pay-per-view is because all of a sudden all you hear is no more words.
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up. That was my other thought was they got to make Matt Hardy be less of a schmuck for when his brother comes in. And I'm actually wearing the Hardy shirt right now, by the way.
Hey.
I heard on a Matt Hardy stream, this will be on the 6th, and his no compete is done on the 9th or the 12th. So it's just. But here's my question, and if anybody out there can answer this for me, and maybe you can, I don't know. When I hear the word non-compete, does that mean could he show up on the show and not wrestle?
Nope.
So they need to change the verbiage on non-compete. It should be non-appearance or something, Yeah. Because that wasn't.
He can't actually show up. Yeah, he has to wait until.
Gotcha.
The day of it ends, and he can show up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, they could heavily imply it, right? They could do a fake Willow type thing, right? Where you show his mask or something where it's him, and then by next week on Dynamite he can be there. But yeah, I think this will be the last Matt Hardy thing that doesn't involve Jeff. I think they'll figure out how to wrap this up and then move forward. So you got the baby faces for the hell of it. I'll just say the heels because I think it could be an interesting way to give them something because they've been it's very one-sided feud, this whole situation here. And I'm done with the Hardy Andrade family office thing. It's stupid. There's 12 people in it, and there's guys that he hires for a day or two, and I'm over it. I don't mind big money Matt, but if it was just Matt Hardy with Private Party, I was cool with that because it was exactly the same thing as Michael Hayes with the Hardy Boys back in the day. And I love the concept of that. But now there's too many people involved. Andrade, I just don't like anything Andrade does. I thought when he got to AEW, I'd like him more, but I still just don't care for him. I think I saw a tweet the other day after Escobar had the what match? We had a big main event match, right? Did he?
Yeah,
Breaker?
yeah. That's the one I was at.
Okay.
Adventures Day.
Somebody tweeted like Escobar is everything they wanted Andrade to be, and I agree. Like I think that's 100% true. So yeah, we spent a little too much time on what is really a throwaway match, but there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of things to talk about in that one. Jurassic Express will be in a 3-way tag team championship match against Red Dragon and the winner of a match on Dynamite this week. Pretty safe to assume it's going to be the Young Bucks because that's the story they've been leading to. Which makes me wonder, is it maybe the Jurassic Express lose this early, or are the other two teams going to take themselves out of the equation and they run away with the victory? Because they haven't been champs very long, but if they had a short reign, that wouldn't really bother me either.
Yeah. I can see them giving it to Red Dragon just because they want to make them look good. They are good regardless. Mm-hmm. I just don't like the fact that the build up to this 3-way. I don't like the fact that you had a casino battle royal last week and you're gonna have one this week too.
They kind of overthought that process too. Yeah, I don't like. Yeah. I don't know how else you get two teams to qualify for that. They should have done like the Diamond Ring Battle Royal thing, where just the last two teams remaining like go to the pay-per-view. Nobody only got to do it once. That might have made a little more sense. But I agree with you. And you've kind of convinced me too. Like, I think the Bucks chasing Red Dragon because they're kind of jealous that they found a way to win, I think is probably the way to go. So if we are gonna have new champs, I would definitely lean in the Red Dragon direction also.
Oh yeah, man.
This next one doesn't matter who wins because we're gonna win just because we get to see it. Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley in this really interesting feud that they're building up. That Danielson wants to join Moxley, and he's like, I don't trust people I haven't bled with yet. That being said, I do think Moxley wins this, but it won't really matter because at the end it'll just be like, all right, we're cool now, and I'll go along with this thing you want to start. So to me, the winner of this is pretty irrelevant because what you're really going to get to is what happened next. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean in a way that like people aren't going to care who wins, but the story's going to go. The story is going to go regardless, I feel. Mm-hmm. So I will say Moxley, but I don't really think it matters.
Yeah, I could see Danielson winning just because they're going to just say like, see, I beat you, now join me.
Yeah, yeah.
Or it just go into a time limit draw. That's what I'm okay with right there.
There you go.
You have a story. Now we beat the shit out of each other, and neither one of us won. So we're equal. Let's go ahead and let's build something.
It is worth mentioning too. Moxley did make a big deal at the fact that he's never beaten Danielson too. So maybe that'll be a thing that he has to overcome before he'll align himself with him or not. So we'll see about that. This next one, Chris Jericho versus Eddie Kingston. Jericho will be with Hager and Kingston will be with Proud and Powerful. This is the moment. This is going to be the big Eddie Kingston win that he has not had yet in AEW. He's never won a pay-per-view match. He's 0-5 since the company started. And the fact that he's had 5 pay-per-view matches, considering he wasn't an original AEW person, says a lot. And no, this is the time, whether it be because Proud and Powerful make it so, might be the case. But I got Eddie Kingston. This is going to be a very emotional win for him too. It's going to be pretty cool to see.
I got Eddie Kingston too, but I don't care.
No,
I don't care about Chris Jericho any longer, bro. I really don't.
I don't. I'm with you on that, but I care about the moment for Eddie Kingston.
Yeah. No, don't get me wrong. Like once he wins, once Eddie Kingston wins, I'll be happy for him. But I don't really care for the match because he's going against Chris. Chris Jericho lost it for me, man.
Yeah.
I'm happy that Proud and Powerful got out of there. Thank God.
Yeah.
Because I was tired of it already, and I think they're a great tag team by themselves. And I love Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston relates to me a lot. He's probably one of my favorite wrestlers in AEW.
They're doing the Fan Fest on Saturday before the pay-per-view that I'll be at, and they have the meet and greets that you can pay like around $100 per meet and greet person, which is a bit steep in my opinion. But the one person I was considering was Eddie Kingston, and I might mess around that day and do it anyway. But out of all the people, and they had Jericho, they have all the champions there, they have like big names, FTR. But yeah, if I was going to spend money to specifically meet somebody on that list, it was going to be Eddie Kingston. And I agree with you. I'm kind of over Jericho too. Can he stay the same size for 2 weeks in a row? I don't know how he does it. I'm not even dogging the guy. I just mean like he comes out like a stepdad off the couch, and then this past week he's ripped. I don't know what does he just not eat between appearances. Like I don't understand it, dude. I don't know what version we're gonna get on the pay-per-view. Like he's gonna look different between Dynamite in 2 days and the pay-per-view, man. And it's crazy. That dude I know he's written books about his career, but he needs to write a book on how he pulls that off. Like it would
for real, because just pass it down to someone, please.
Yeah, had to get absolutely chiseled in like 4.5 days by Chris Jericho. I don't know, man. It's crazy. Moving on to the Face of the Revolution ladder match. I love how these qualifiers started with Keith Lee, Wardlow, and Powerhouse Hobbs getting in because it really turned the ladder match on its head. You got these big dudes in there. And I thought they were going to continue with that. I thought 10 was going to win, right? I thought because how funny would that be? Just this big old Hoss ladder match, right? But since then, Ricky Starks is in there. Orange Cassidy's in there. One more person is going to be in as of Wednesday. I don't even know what that match is. Maybe they announced it. I don't remember seeing it. Could be wrong. But essentially, I assume at this rate, it'll be another smaller dude. That way you have 3 big guys, 3 small guys. But out of the people in there, who do you think will win, or who do you want to win, or is that answer the same?
Bro, give me Wardlow, bro.
Yeah.
I think Wardlow's gonna win. I think everyone's gonna have a good showing. And I'm jealous that you guys are gonna get to see that because that's gonna be a great match. Even whoever's left.
Yeah.
It's between either Wardlow or
Keith Lee.
Ricky Starks.
Okay, you don't think Keith Lee's gonna win? I feel like he'd be the favorite going into this.
Yeah, he probably is the favorite. I just don't see them doing babyface versus babyface. You know.
Yeah.
They're gonna probably want to heel to go against Sammy.
If Wardlow wins, they'll have to do that interesting. Like he's technically supposed to give that title shot to MJF, so that would be given. And I don't know what kind of shape MJF's gonna be in after his match. We'll get to that one in a minute. I would basically, and it's not because I don't like the guy. Anybody in this match that's listed so far, except Orange Cassidy, wins, I'll be happy. Because I like Orange Cassidy just fine, but he's challenged for the TNT title plenty of times. It wouldn't really benefit him to win it, at least at this stage. I think eventually, he needs to win some sort of belt to kind of signify that this ride he's been on is worth it. But I'm a big Powerhouse Hobbs fan, and he would be a really cool I guess even if he won it, and then him and Ricky are kind of they both have belts, but one's a little more legitimate than the other. And of course, Starks is just keeping that belt warm until Hook comes and takes it from him anyway. That's going to be a story that we get in about a year. Looking forward to that. But yeah, Wardlow's probably the way to go, but I'm happy with anyone that's not Orange Cassidy here. And just because he doesn't need to be in that spot, it has nothing to do with anything else.
I feel that. That's good. That's a good point though.
Yeah. Next, we have Britt Baker DMD against Thunder Rosa, the match that we've had about a year in the making ever since their lights out match. Thunder Rosa is championship ready. She probably has been for about a year. But that being said, I don't know that Britt Baker's time is over yet. That's my only thing. It has nothing to do with Rosa and everything to do with Britt Baker.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I don't know because Britt Baker had this title for since what was that? Double or Nothing. Yeah,
because we were at that show.
That was in May. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We were at that one as well.
So I could see Thunder Rosa winning, and then I could see Athena coming out, the former Ember Moon coming out.
Yeah, I could see either her coming out or within the next week or so coming out for sure. We're about to get to the title match. The way we have it listed, the tag titles change hands. The TBS title stays where it is. Are you going with Thunder Rosa? Because I'll just play devil's advocate and I'll go Britt Baker then.
No.
Well, because I do think, like, as much as I like her, I just don't think they're ready to not have Britt Baker lose it yet. Like, I think that's what it comes down to.
Oh, okay.
I like Thunder Rosa. I actually met, so some people may or may not know this, but when she's not wrestling, she actually does work on Spanish commentary. And when we went to Double or Nothing, where we were sitting, we were like right behind where they had the Spanish announce table at Daly's place. So it was like her and Ray Phoenix and the Lucha Brothers managers, Alex, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
And I thought it was cool that when she's not wrestling, she's also a commentator. So that's pretty neat.
Yeah, it is cool.
Next, what's probably the most hardest one to predict, we have CM Punk and MJF in the dog collar match. And I just want to say, because we didn't get to talk about it at the time, the way he brought this in to existence was awesome. The "Will you be my Valentine" line about, talking about Piper and Greg Valentine, I thought was awesome. I assume, I shouldn't, but I'm gonna assume that Punk is gonna win this, because if he goes down 2-0 to MJF, like, it's kind of over, I guess. And but MJF just had that killer promo about, he basically gave us his supervillain origin story, is the way a lot of people are calling it. And it was crazy and believable, and like, not that he's a babyface now, but it's just like, some of the best villains in movies are the best villains because you kind of understand where they're coming from, guys like the Joker and things like that. And that's where MJF kind of is for this particular feud anyway. When I first saw CM Punk, it was in a magazine where he had a dog collar match against Raven in Ring of Honor. And that's like the first picture I ever saw of CM Punk was him and Raven covered in blood with the dog collar match on. I'm like, that, I want to see more of that guy. Like, that's kind of where that came from. And yeah, man, I guess I'm going CM Punk, but I honestly have no earthly idea where they're going with this, which is great. You want more of that.
Yeah, I can see CM Punk winning just so they have like that rubber match. Because you got one, I won, you won. Let's do another one at Double or Nothing. But I can also see MJF winning just because of that promo, man.
Yeah.
People are saying that's probably promo of the year.
Yeah. It's gonna be hard to beat. I think the only way you beat that is if the promo that Cody will cut if he comes to WWE. That's gonna be the only thing. The only thing in the same stratosphere, I think, really.
Yeah.
Last match on the show, Adam Cole and Hangman Page. This one's interesting to me too. Like, I don't think they've told all the stories they need to tell with Adam Page as world champion, but at the same time, like, I don't know where Adam Cole would go from here. It would be kind of crazy if Cole wins and then the Elite, does Kenny Omega then come back and they have that dynamic going on? Because, Adam Cole will be kind of running the Elite and then Kenny comes back. That would be the logical next step. I did listen to an interview with Kenny that he wasn't as healed. He was supposed to come back in February and he just wasn't where he thought he would be physically. So he pushed it back a little bit. So, I mean, who knows on that? So I think I'm going to go Adam Page here in the Adam versus Adam that we have here in the main event. I'm going to go with the Cowboy.
Okay. And I'll go for Adam Cole. Mainly because I felt like Adam Page's title run has been a little lackluster. I think you can have a lot more stories with probably Adam Cole as well as champion. You could put Adam Cole versus Wardlow. Adam Cole could switch. It could be a tweener if it came down to it.
And I get people say that about Adam Page's title reign, but really his matches have been really good.
Yeah.
But the journey of like feud to feud has been just kind of, oh, by the way, you're doing this now. Like, that's, I think, the issue. Like the Daniel Bryan, the time limit draw to that was good because that was a linear A to B. But then the random Lance Archer thing, which ended in having a great match, but like just kind of came out of nowhere. Like, oh, by the way, we didn't tell you. We figured we could just tell you in the ring. You're facing the Lance Archer now. Like, that's kind of how that went down. So while the matches have been good, I do think, his story to story has been kind of murky.
Yeah.
So that's Revolution. That's going to be on Sunday. I'm extremely excited. For that, I think I'm going to be at Rampage as well. That's on Friday, and maybe just the whole weekend of AEW. I plan to do another vlog too, because those do fairly well on the channel. So we're going to hope for another good one.
Be on the lookout.
Be on the lookout for when that drops for sure. So that is the AEW news. Let's transition a little bit over to NXT. Don was at Vengeance Day a few weeks ago, and he's actually going to go to the taping. By the time you guys hear this, it'll probably be the day of the taping on Tuesday. So NXT's been moving right along. They had a really good Dusty Classic. Those things rarely disappoint. And I was pretty happy with the winner, actually. I thought the Diamond Mine kind of got legitimized now that, like, it's not just Roderick Strong and a bunch of jobbers now. Now the guys he's with have accomplished something. And I thought that was a good way to go about it for sure. So you can take over what you thought on Vengeance Day, but that stuck out to me that the Dusty Classic felt like a big deal again.
Oh yeah. Vengeance Day was fun. That was probably the most fun I've had going to an NXT event. From start to finish. Because the first match we had was Pete Dunne versus fucking Tony D'Angelo, man.
Yeah, man, that was something else, dude.
That was a sick match. I would say the worst match, but it wasn't even I would say the worst match of the night was probably the women's tag team match, but that was still a good match at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But that just tells you the rest of the card. That Melo versus Grimes, oh my gosh. Yeah. Carmelo, he is money.
He's the real deal.
He's the real deal. Yes.
I really like what I'm seeing from him too. Go ahead, sorry. I
ended up winning after the match. I went and got me his shirt at the stand. Yeah, that's how I fell in love with him. I already liked him before.
Yeah.
I just needed to see more from him because he still was growing on me. But after that match, I was like, okay, it's time.
That's what it's all about. You got to move that merch, pal. That's how that works. You know? No, that dude is great. And I recently learned, I didn't know if we were going to talk about the video game because it's still a few weeks away, but they did announce the full roster finally. And I was excited to see that the NXT 2.0, not all, but a lot of them are in there. Maybe like I noticed LA Knight wasn't in there, which annoyed me. But Carmelo Hayes was, and Grimes was. And, so some of those guys I didn't see Tony D'Angelo either. I might have to go back and look, but there are a few in there. I'm sure there'll be a 2.0 DLC thing down the line or whatever. But no, Carmelo Hayes is definitely going to get a lot of ring time when I get that game for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So what can we expect for this? You're going tomorrow, today, whenever you guys hear this. What's the big matches going on tomorrow?
Tommaso Ciampa and Breakker versus the Dirty Dogs. I think that would be pretty cool. First match for Robert Roode back in NXT.
Yeah,
that would be pretty cool. Pete Dunne versus Melo is tomorrow as well. So that's two good matches right there, and you won me already. And then the continuation of the women's Dusty Classic.
Sweet.
There's something else. There's other stuff sprinkled in there, but those are the three ones that I really know of. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you too, and we kind of sniffed this out before it actually happened, but obviously when you get rid of the Cruiserweight title, the writing's on the wall for 205 Live, and they've since rebranded that to NXT. Was it Next Level? I think it's called.
Level Up.
Level Up. Sorry. So you've seen one of those tapings now, and I went with you a month or two ago, and 205 Live was basic. I feel like the show's no different, right? It's just a different name for it. It's just basically main event, but for NXT now.
Yeah, that's basically what it seems like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to them having like a title for them. Because I mean, like there's not that much like when I walked in, it was Kushida versus Effie, the black dude. Yeah, the black dude that was in the tag team with Malik.
Mm.
So like that match was okay. But I think this is also good for these guys because it gives them more experience and take away that whole 205 Live brand because women was in it now and people that was over 205 was in it.
I felt like they creatively had switched over way before they switched the name over. So at least they finally caught up with that. So
bro, when they had Odyssey Jones on that shit
Yeah.
last year, I was like, oh yeah, 205 is dead.
Done. All right. So that is the NXT stuff, and obviously, I wish you were coming to AEW with us this weekend, but at least you're getting some wrestling in this week. Hope you have a blast over in Orlando. We got a little bit of WWE news to talk about. I'm sure this next episode we're really going to hone in on like WrestleMania taking shape and everything. So before we really talk about that, we are getting our unification match. That's one thing that we'll talk more of. We've already kind of talked about it before. The big debate I want to get into next episode really is what belt are they going to keep then? And I've already kind of given my thesis on that like a couple weeks ago on why I think it'll be the Universal title, but we can talk about that more later. The other big news that came out this week or last week at this point, the Undertaker is finally going into the Hall of Fame. And I wanted to ask you, this wasn't my theory originally, but I've kind of adopted it because I believe in it. Considering they are in Texas for this WrestleMania, what do you think about the idea of the Undertaker going in a class by himself? The fact that we have not heard any other names yet makes me, and like, so I had the professor on the Phil Talk Sports podcast the other day. We were talking about this, and he said, I'd love for that to be the case, but WWE wants to sell a T-shirt for each guy. Like, it'll come down to a money thing. And while he's not wrong, that's totally how WWE works. If anyone's gonna do it, it should be the Taker going in on his own.
Yeah, you're right. I wouldn't mind it, but you also got to think they got to fill 2 hours in, because I believe the event is like 2 hours long.
Well, they're doing it before the SmackDown taping, I think, is what I heard. The Hall of Fame ceremony is going to be on the Friday before, so maybe it's only an hour, and you can fill an hour with the Undertaker easy, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if it is an hour, then yeah, let him do it by himself. Yeah, I thought he was gonna bring someone else, say someone else in there too. But the thing is, like, who else would have been could go in? Who else would go in? Who is on the level of the Undertaker?
Well, you never want someone this, like, every Hall of Fame class, you have your headliner, and then you have a tag team, you have maybe a women's wrestler. Like, in some years they want a minority in there, right? Like, they have these kind of boxes that they kind of want to check sometimes. So, like, yeah, it would need to be a full class, and like, he's clearly head and shoulders above as the headliner. So, like, if you take like, I'm trying to think of people that aren't in, but like, let's say like, I think the Road Warriors are in, but let's just say they weren't, right? Like, you could have your tag team, you could have, this, that, and the other. So I don't think you need to worry about people being on the same level as them, because he's the headliner no matter what. But I say just, give him the hour, because the last time we saw him truly, when he said his goodbye thing, we were just starting the podcast. We were like 2-3 episodes deep, and they did that weird thing in the Thunderdome where they had all his greatest friends and rivals show up, and Kane was the only one in his gear. Everyone else was in a suit. That was like a rib on him, I guess. But yeah, it was weird, right? Like, that was the last time we saw, that was the retirement of the Undertaker, supposedly. So this is going to be much better. This might be a make good for that. I think we'll know in a week, though. Okay, but I think we'll know in a week. Like, if they don't announce somebody else, because usually they have 5 to 6 people. So if they don't have somebody else by next week, they're not going to announce, oh, by the way, here's the other 5 people in the Hall of Fame. Oh, thanks. Like, you didn't even give it. Usually they one person a week, right, to let it breathe or whatever. So, like, I think much like the Cody thing, if we don't see anything by next week, I'm thinking that's it. And I'm all for it. If anyone deserves it, especially in Texas, I think they could have did that with Austin. I think they will do that with The Rock whenever they do that. Back when Hogan was more likable, they could have done it with him, obviously. But Taker, especially being in Texas, man, to me, it's almost a no-brainer. What's your question?
Who inducts him?
Kane. Easy.
Okay. All right.
The only person.
But even after, I don't know if you've seen, like, he's been getting shredded. So
I don't know why, because I don't like to get into it, but I know that he is. Yeah, I see that. But if it's just like, what's the right answer, to me, it's definitely
yes.
Yeah, regardless, like, outside of that bubble. The only other person that I would pick would have been Percy Pringle, Paul Bearer, but obviously he's no longer with us. So, and again, if it's just going to be Taker, you could have, you'd have Kane come out and talk. You'd have Rikishi come out and talk, right? They're boys from way back, right?
You can have like a little montage of people just talking.
Everybody, like, all his, all his, his wife can come out and say a couple words, the way they had Beth Phoenix do it when Edge got in, right? So, to me, it's definitely Kane, but there are I can think of 3, 4, 5 other people that could deserve to talk on that stage about it for sure.
I got another question for you.
Okay.
If Jeff Hardy didn't decided to, if Jeff Hardy was able decided to go get inducted this year, do you think the Undertaker was going to get inducted? Because remember there was a whole report that WWE went out their way to talk to Jeff Hardy to be inducted this year.
That's a good question. I want to say yes because they're in Texas. And like if it was going to be, you know, Jeff Hardy and Taker and then they, you know, fill out their class, like Jeff would have been a perfect number 2 person like underneath the Undertaker for that year. Like that would have worked out fine. So yeah, that is a good question. Maybe, but again, if you don't put the Undertaker in Texas, like what are you waiting for at the same time? So I'd like to think they were planning this out, but maybe not, you know. I thought you were going to ask who should have inducted Jeff if he said yes, but I'm glad he didn't. I'm glad he said no. If and when I go in, it's going to be with my brother. And I totally respect that.
100%.
Not to say that he isn't a Hall of Famer on his own, because I do think he is. But put him in as a tag team, 100,000%.
Yeah.
But if he did go in, based on who works in WWE, I think it would have been Michael Hayes, because he was there. He brought them in, and I think that would have been cool. They could have had Hurricane because he works there now. He could have came out and said some words because they're super tight. But luckily, we won't know for a while because again, if and when they get in, they should be in together, 100%. Any other WWE? Like I said, we'll talk more about WrestleMania and what it's taking shape next week probably. But you know, we've seen a few. The other rumor I want to talk about on Thursday, I guess we'll know a little bit more. Vince McMahon's going to be on the Pat McAfee show, and who knows where that's going to
go. Bro, when I saw that on SmackDown on Friday, I was like, oh snap.
The rumor is like they're going to have Vince versus Pat, and there's no way in hell. No chance in hell, if you will. But here's what I do think happens. I think they're going to they might even run with that for a week, right? They'll make the graphic and everything. And then Austin Theory steps in for Vince McMahon. And I'm all for that, honestly. Like, I think like Theory and McAfee, I'm all for it as long as Pat wins. Because he is, you know, he's had 2 matches. He hasn't won any of them. They should have won War Games. That still bothers me. Because like, why do that? And Theory losing on that level wouldn't bother anybody. And it would be great. And it would be a celebrity match that people actually want to see, unlike the Johnny Knoxville thing.
Or the Logan Paul thing.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. Although I will say, because when you know, we thought that Cody was going to come in to be Miz's partner, right? That was a theory that people had. I've never been so happy to see Logan Paul, because that just meant it wasn't Cody at that point. So do you have Raw on, by the way? We're a couple minutes into Cody watch.
I'm actually, I got it on now. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So if you know, just kind of do this if you see him, because we'll start talking about that. But yeah. But for now, Cody Watch is free. So we're gonna really get into WrestleMania. Well, obviously we'll review Revolution, and then we'll talk WrestleMania next week in the next episode. Before we get out of here, I do want to get my quick NWA minute in. One thing, if you've enjoyed the Dusty Classic, this either the men's one and then the women's one that started, the real thing is getting going, because NWA is bringing back the Crockett Cup, which is what the Dusty Classic is based on. Look up that bracket. It's going to be some teams you know, some teams you don't. But really the biggest news that we haven't gotten to talk about yet is we do have a new holder of the 10 pounds of gold. Matt Cardona himself is the new holder of the 10 pounds of gold, defeated Trevor Murdoch at Power Trip the other day. And I wanted to show this off too. This figure that I just held up, I tweeted it out. Let me see if I can share this. I'm usually better at this. Okay, here we go. So I tweeted out, congrats to the champ with this figure next to my replica belt. And I even got a retweet there from the champ. So he saw it and he appreciated that. I thought that was pretty cool.
That is cool.
Yeah. So, thought that was neat. So I think Matt Cardona is exactly who the NWA needs. Trevor Murdoch did what he could, but I think you did just need you need someone with a little more star power. So that's the NWA thing going on. They've brought back the 10 pounds of gold series, which is like a document series on YouTube, just following the champ around. Very excited for that. It looks like Nick Aldis is going to get his rematch here soon at the Crockett Cup. So that's going to be probably the biggest match the NWA could do right now. So that's probably going to wrap up for this one, guys. We will see you next time on episode 42. Thank you for watching the Wrestle Report, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.